August 10th, 2021. This was the last time I released any content talking about Blazing Strike, the indie fighting game that is clearly inspired by a lot of old school fighting games from Street Fighter Third Strike to Garo Mark of the Wolves. The reason why I haven't talked about Blazing Strike all that much is because, well, I got hit with some unfortunate news saying that the game was going to be delayed. And usually when a game is being put on like an indefinite delay, I tend to try to just shift my focus away from it, so that way when I stumble into some new information, or perhaps when we get surprised by a release date, then the wait isn't as excruciating, I'll put it like that. At least that's how I look at it. In fact, the most recent bit of information that I had seen concerning the game, at least in terms of like any content, was a video of the gameplay trailer for MJ, one of the characters on the roster. And I don't know what was the idea here, but the first couple of seconds involves MJ getting hit with various attacks. And then the latter half, she does get her stuff in, but at the same time, I don't get why they put that stuff there in the beginning. But who knows, like, maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. But what has me talking about it now is thanks to a post, which I am not sure how long this information has been out here. I could be late to the party, but I don't care. I really have wanted to talk about Blazing Strike for quite a long time now. I was shown this bit of information right here. There is a page on the Blazing Strike website that features all the characters. They all have bios, which we're gonna just go through and look at them one by one and see if we can learn some more about these combatants, because this is a brand new franchise, so let's check them out. So here we are, starting right here, we have Shinsuke. If you know, you know. Shinsuke is a lone wolf who aspires to become the best fighter in the world. Yeah, maybe he might be, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he is either the main protagonist or one of the protagonists. He probably might not be. Maybe it might just be somebody with that whole wanna be the best fighter, but he might be a secondary. Take away the weapon armors and strange blue arm from the opponent. I know who that's a reference to. That's a reference to Jake, because Jake has a blue arm. And as a matter of fact, it mentioned a strange blue arm. That's Jake. We'll get to him later. Take away the weapon armors and strange blue arm from the opponent, and he just might be the best already. Shinsuke becomes obsessed with Jake, after their first encounter and thinks of him as an arch rival ever since. Okay, so kind of like a little bit of a Ryu and Ken thing probably going here. So I'm guessing these are just some attributes about him. Very chill and carefree on the outside, but dead serious about the way of the Kyokujin Ryu. Loves training, always welcomes a challenge for a fight, loves street food, trains Jake and instantly realizes that he's found his rival. Oh, that's interesting. And a descendant of Mas Oyama, the founder of Kyokushin Karate, who, if pretty sure a lot of fighting game nerds know this, Mas Oyama was an inspiration behind the character of Ryu from Street Fighter. Okay. And his skills, long lost Kyokushin Ryu Karate, he's 21 years old, 5 foot 10 inches, and his blood type is AB. Yeah, like I said, he's clearly inspired by like Ryu, which is funny because I mean they're both basically inspired or have like some type of links to like the same real life person, so I guess that makes sense, but he seems pretty cool. Let's move on. Pink Samurai. Pink is a tribal leader of a nomad group just out of the cities. While she was scrapping metal from an abandoned vehicle, she found a giant blade piece that seemed to have been broken off from a much longer katana of some sort. She managed to fashion it with some machinery, and she now feels she can better protect her people and especially her girlfriend. She has a girlfriend. So I'm guessing this here is the blade in question. And also, just a healthy reminder, this game, if I'm not mistaken, basically have a setting that's kind of post-apocalyptic, cyberpunkish or whatnot, which does explain, because I mean, even you look like they're in the background of like the card here, you can see like this wasteland looking area. And I mean, she does kind of have like that somewhat typical wastelander design. She has a really killer look, by the way. I like this. Kind of reminds me of like maybe of, how tall is she? She's 5'9". So maybe like a shorter Junker Queen from Overwatch, but with pink hair and like wielding a blade, because Junker Queen uses like this little mini shotgun blaster thing, and she uses an axe and a blade. It says in relationship with Nagi, who I also think is a playable character. Her tribe is the most important thing in her life, that was established. Gets distracted easily by beautiful women. I think they mentioned that this game was going to have like a really immersive story mode. Like, I would imagine it might look something like Pocket Bravery story mode, which is actually pretty good. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that might make for possibly some comedy or whatnot. Let's see, skills, jet boosted heavy blade, which is more than likely the name of that weapon. Don't know how old this she is. As I mentioned earlier, she's 5'9" and her blood type is O. Yeah, I dig this design. Oh yeah, because another one of my favorites from like the very first Blazing Strike trailer did have a weapon. Because I was going to make a comment about her being a weapon fighter, but then I remember like another character, which we'll get to later. I'm sorry I keep repeating that, but just saying. But yeah, Pink Samurai, I love this design. And here's Jake. This is who, if I'm not mistaken, Event Hubs had established was the main protagonist. I could be wrong, but anyways. Jake used to be a shy and low-key high school teenager before the accident where he got his blue arm. Okay, so it was a matter of an accident. Factory issues. The arm possesses a very special power that holds the key to saving the world from self-destruction. Yeah, I think he is probably the guy. I think he might be the guy. Say shy, low-key, of course. A lot of these are actually kind of seeming to repeat some stuff from like the little introduction. Constantly struggles with his inner self, or his inner evil. Oh no, kind of seems like he had a little bit of Shune in him. Secretly likes girl groups. Oh yeah. I don't know about girl groups per se, but I do remember Shune in an interview for KOF 15 mentioned that he was really liking Athena's music at the time. Misses his currently missing best friend who was like a brother to him. Oh, okay, so he's missing a friend of his. Skills, blue arm, he's 18 years old, 6'2", tall boy, and his blood type is A. Yeah, I dig his design as well, which is kind of interesting because usually I'm kind of ambivalent about most protagonists in fighting games. I do think Jake is the guy. I think maybe Shinsuke might kind of be somewhat of the Meitenkun to his Shune possibly. But yeah, there's a little bit of a coolness to Jake that I'm actually liking, especially from like the footage that I remember seeing in the trailer some time ago. Graphy, I assume, is his name. I almost said graffiti. Graphy grew up in the backstreets of Port City, where thieves steal from thieves and thugs and gangs are your friendly neighbors. Wow. And I remember, like, now as I'm looking, because once they mentioned that, I kind of look at the background of the card art here. I do remember this being a stage in some of the footage from, like, the very first Blazing Strike trailer. I do remember this being a stage. So that's what that is. Okay. As an orphan, Graphy never had someone to look up to, but one day when a group of men in black suits raided the orphan house he lived in, a mysterious ninja saved his life. One of his Mochizuki, we'll see. From that point on, he has been self-training to become a real ninja. Little does he know he's already a real ninja of his own, with unique skill sets. He has a really cool look too, I'll give him that. What's that weapon? Let's see. Say he's goofy, outgoing, and talkative, very chatty. Okay. Likes everything street like graffiti art, skateboarding, and parkour. Now I look at it. I mean, it doesn't look totally like one, but I could possibly see somebody mistaking like that, whatever that is on his back, for being like a board. Like, I was thinking maybe hoverboard over skateboard since it's, got a futuristic setting. He's an orphan, they already established that. His orphan brothers and sisters are his family, makes sense. Prone to make mistakes, but has great instincts. Okay. Ninjutsu street mix. I'm guessing like skills or like their weapons or like their fighting style. He's 17 years old, 5'9", and his blood type is O. Okay, Graphy. I really hope the story mode actually allows, because so far I'm at least getting some interesting personalities out of these characters. I'm just really hoping the story mode is good enough to where that's actually put in the forefront so everybody can see it. Everybody's not going to be doing what we're doing right now, because it reminds me of like somebody had told me when I had criticized KOF 15 story mode. It's like, well, you're critiquing the story mode, but there's a website. It's like everybody's not going to read a website like me and other nerds with this stuff. Some people want to see it in the game, and I really hope they do that. There's the MJ that I mentioned earlier. MJ is ex-military who now works for a resistance group. She's now convinced, more than ever, that what's left of the government there is actually a mysterious group behind them controlling everything. Uh-oh, Illuminati confirmed storyline here. Her espionage skills are unmatched and she often uses them to spy on and gain information from the enemy. Do not let her sneaky demeanor fool you, however. She is a black belt master in Taekwondo, and she learned from the best. I was about to make a joke, but they actually named who it was. It was her dad. Because I was about to jokingly say Kim. Very upbeat and friendly, okay. Diligent and always on the move. In love with Mateo. Okay. Pretty sure Mateo might be like another playable character. She's a soldier, that was established. Specializes in espionage, even better than Graphy. Oh, okay, so I guess like they got comparable skills, but that makes sense because that was also established. Okay, this character's a beast. Taekwondo and military fighting techniques? Yeah, she's a threat. She's 21 years old, 5'7", and her blood type is B. If only they would have made her look a lot more, I'm just saying, I could have done without having her getting hit by all types of mess like in the beginning of her little mini trailer that was like 30 seconds. I could have done without that. MJ actually seems really cool. I haven't seen any designs that I think are kind of dumb, bad, goofy, or dry yet. Ah, my boy, Alexander. Alexander is a mysterious giant of a man who lives a hermit life in a land unknown to most because of the tall cliffs surrounding the place, which is beneath the water level of a giant lake. He used to be a professional wrestler. Oh, he's retired. Or he's a former, but walked away from the scene in the world after he lost his daughter from a freak accident during his very last wrestling match. Oh, that's sad. I wonder what happened there. He lives with animals, he does not remember the past. Oh, so he's an amnesiac. Amnesia caused by immense stress. He cares about his animal friends as if they're his children. He's Russian. Okay. Loves vodka and anything with high alcohol content. Okay, I was not expecting, like, you know, the dead daughter storyline. That's sad. And it was during, like, a wrestling match, which, I mean, it makes sense, you know. If you ever, I would imagine anyone who's witnessed a loved one dying and it like happened in like a very specific setting, like it could be something that you enjoy doing. I know the person in question may not want to revisit those things, like it might just be like a shadow over them, so I can definitely see that. That's sad. Skills, wrestling, animal-like instincts, and power. Yeah, he had some, even though like he only got like a little bit of like screen time, like all the characters in like the first scene, they're introduced, but it was like maybe a couple of seconds of combat from them, but he did some power moves. He's 45 years old, oldest character so far, I think. He is 6'7" and his blood type is AB. And I mean, of course, some people might look at him and think like he was inspired by Tekken's King, but of course, both of those characters are inspired by the same person, Tiger Mask. And I kind of like how all these different characters inspired by Tiger Mask kind of deviate from him, because Tiger Mask was actually more of like a agile wrestler, but he also would do some power moves. We have that wrestler that they're agile, but they can also do power moves as well. But now we got like a heavyweight here with Alexander. And even, you know, King kind of falls in that. Credit to Namco, they did a pretty good job of differentiating between the two kings, seeing that King, like normal, everyday King, I don't know why I said everyday, his wrestling style is more rooted in Lucha Libre, where of course with Armor King, at least in terms of like the last couple of games or so, he took more from Puroresu or Japanese pro wrestling. But the whole reason I brought that up was because King has power moves, but also does some agile stuff too. You've seen him do every type of slam, but of course he'll pull out like some cruiserweight type moves, as is the case with most Lucha Libre. Because even Lucha Libre, everybody usually stereotypes it, thinking that all the wrestlers are masked, not always, and they all do high flying moves, not always. But yeah, always appreciate a wrestling style character, and Alexander looks really cool. I like the backstory. I can't wait to see like that like in action, like with some visuals or something. Ah, you're Ryohei. Okay. Ryohei is Hana's right-hand man. I remember Hana. In the first trailer, she was just described as the femme fatale. I can't wait to learn more about her. Ryohei lost an eye in a sword fight and was about to become useless in the world of fighters, but Hana took him under her wings and gave him a new and much more advanced eye. Ryohei is very reserved, as I kind of figured he would be. He kind of like has that look, and I don't know, it's just that aura of his is just kind of like somebody that'll keep to themselves, and only seem to be concerned about practicing his Oyabun. Says he rarely speaks, he takes orders only from Hana, he's an orphan, a lot of orphans in this game. Makes sense. Likes to wear stylish clothes and accessories. Oh yeah, he's, I mean, look at him. He's dripped out over there. Only one shot of sake makes him turn into a cute, talkative type, so he tries to stay away from alcoholic beverages. Was not expecting that right there. Wow. Alright, I mean, I can understand it. Like, I don't drink at all, and I've never drank in my life, but I know some friends that, I know one friend that refrains from, like, having too many because they know how they'll get when they have a little too much, and they don't want to go back to that place. But the fact that he'll turn into the cute talkative type, it's almost like it's a hidden Ryohei, and they're almost being unlocked by the alcohol. Next, Lei Long. I liken him to what I would imagine a human Zenyatta would look like. But I mean, of course, Zenyatta, Lei Long, they kind of have similar design influences. Lei Long is the last standing Shaolin monk. He too almost lost his life from a fight with a monstrous being that no human can match against. Wonder who that is. Final boss, maybe? Not that final boss, like the game's final boss. His injuries were so severe that he had no choice but to turn to bionic body parts to survive. In the process, he decides that he wants the help of technology to further his strength and skills as a Shaolin master and adds a generator that creates electricity, so he's a shocker! Lone survivor of the attack on the Shaolin Temple, the temple was attacked by Erlich, Magnus, and his soldiers. Okay. The monk with the special powers was taken after the defeat. The one who saved Lei Long's life is a mystery. Okay, so even, I'm guessing he doesn't know who did it. Lei Long has one thing in mind, and that is to defend the temple. Makes sense. Shaolin Kung Fu and electricity, age, we don't know. He's 5'10", and we don't know his blood type. Okay. Erlich Magnus and his soldiers. Erlich Magnus, Erlich Magnus. I'm trying to keep those names in the back of my head. Let's keep going. There she is, Hana. Hana is the most powerful Oyabun boss in the Yakuza world. She once single-handedly annihilated a whole group of rival Yakuza men. That incident brought peace to the world of Yakuza and the city they all reside in, by basically all of the Yakuza groups uniting under Han. Wow. Ooh. I know I used to call Dolores Boss Lady, but this is the real Boss Lady right here. For some reason, like, I think it might be the color scheme and also the outfit, slightly if you don't count like the cloak or the jacket or whatever that is. When I first saw her, it made me think of Psylocke a little bit. Like, she looked almost kind of like, I guess, a Psylocke with short hair and then like some jewelry. But even I don't think Betsy was this much of a boss. Jeez. Okay. Love sake and tobacco. Keep that away from keep the former, that is, away from your right-hand man, please. Very outgoing and sporadic. Okay. Think she is superior to all men. Look, all right, looky here. When you annihilate a whole group of Yakuza men and then basically bring, I guess, somewhat of a form of peace to the world of Yakuza by uniting them under her, I'm just saying, she might be in the run. She has the bragging rights. I'm just saying, I think she has the bragging rights. Save Ryohei, we learned about him when he was a little boy. Ruthless but has a soft spot for the few who she cares about. Probably Ryohei is amongst that group. Dual short blades and killer instincts. Funny. Are her skills, she's 29 years old, 5'9", and her blood type is O. Got a lot of O's up in here. Yeah, I like you. I like this. I like her. Mateo! Mateo. Somebody had a crush on you, wasn't it MJ? Yes, it was MJ. What's up with you, Mateo? Is a renowned military commander who is currently living in Prison City for killing his own men during an ambush mission, even though he does not remember anything from that night because of a blackout. Okay, so we got one person who had amnesia, Alexander, and then we got somebody who had a blackout. He still feels terribly about what had happened and decides to confine himself in Prison City, where he could be surveilled 24/7. He used to be MJ's mentor. We went and checked up back on her when they were both still serving, but now he refuses to interact with her. Aww, it's gonna be one of those storylines where it's like one person has a crush but the other person doesn't want to interact. And why is that? Let's see. But now he refuses to interact with her and everyone else who were close to him, ever since he realized that he cannot control his power. Oh, okay. Can't control it. Gotcha. He's very patriotic. Okay. Because I keep hearing about Prison City, and now that it mentions that he's patriotic, I kind of wonder, like, is this going to be one of those instances where it's going to be, like, based on the real world? Like, Like, is Prison City like a fictional American city is what I'm thinking about. But then again, of course, patriotism isn't just limited to America, but, you know, just saying. And always does the right thing. Commendable. Considered one of the best leaders in his military division, thinks of MJ as his little sister. Aww, I feel for MJ. This ain't. Aww. I think MJ is gonna get freaking friend zoned. His best friend was one of the victims on that night of the tragic incident. Okay. Reserved but vocal when he's leading the team on a mission. Ever since the first time of his transformation, he is in constant pain and agony. Oh, damn. Works out and trains as a hobby. He is pretty jacked over there. Mans is a whiz with the knife. Ooh, and he's into... Oh, really? He's a pyromancer. Okay, fire manipulation. He's 30 years old, he's 6'4", and his blood type is A. Mateo seems pretty interesting. Got a military man with some pyrokinesis? Okay. Oro. This was the other guy that I was hoping for. I remember like there was a big old guy with like multiple arms or something in one of those scenes. Yeah, I was definitely looking forward to like learning more about this guy. Oro Kana used to be a fisherman. He was a fisherman, living peacefully with his family. He and his family are of Polynesian descent. I remember that because Onyx Blade, shout outs as always for Onyx for passing on information to me and just all the time. I can never thank him enough, even though I'm pretty sure he's annoyed with me name dropping him in so many videos. But the reason I bring up Onyx is because Onyx did send me a casting call because they were looking for voice actors for various different roles. And I do remember one role was looking for a Polynesian actor. And I'm pretty sure Oro was the character that pertained to. Okay, so Polynesian descent, was living in one of the islands. Everything about his life had changed with the reckoning. He and his family had to flee to the islands to save their lives, and had to try to adjust to the new order of life in one of the 5 cities. Fishing not being relevant anymore forced. Now that I think about it, I could see fishing kind of like not being really a thing in this world. Fishing not being relevant anymore forced him to find another way to make a living. Being poor in a post-apocalyptic world meant being at least 10 times more hardship than being poor in a normal world. He lost his wife because they were not able to go to a hospital when she fell sick. Sad. A lot of tragedy with some of these characters. As it pours when it rains, he comes home from a long day of work to find his children went missing. After years of search and with no luck, he started to accept the fact that they might actually be dead. His anger towards society grows and he ends up losing his mind. Monitoring his aggressive behavior, the police tries to take him into custody. Oro fights back and kills 2 police officers. Man, fighting off the cops right here. He kind of reminds me almost of a fictional version of who some wrestling fans may know as Ming or Tonga Fafita or Haku. Legitimately one of the most badass people in the wrestling business ever. Like if you, even if you are not like a wrestling fan, if you don't know about King Haku right here, just Google Haku or Ming or King Tonga stories. This guy was dangerous. And it's so crazy because at least with Oro, he does seem to be like a very friendly person, at least from what I'm thinking this far. That's exactly what Tonga Fafita, King Haku here was like. Despite the fact this man did so many insanely badass things, most wrestlers would also tell you that he was also the nicest guy in the world as long as you didn't cross him. Which is interesting because the world definitely crossed Oro here. He now lives in Prison City for multiple charges of murder, and through a series of surgery and enhancement, he now serves as a worker on construction sites within the city. Okay, so he went to construction work. Because I was wondering like where the arms were gonna come in. But yeah, this guy right here was another one of my most anticipated because he looks badass. I like this story, and I'm pretty sure this man's gonna crush it once we get to see more of what these characters can do. Because I don't think we actually saw anything in the trailer. Because the last couple seconds of that trailer that I reacted to like 3 years ago, it literally just had like a bunch of animations of, I guess, the startups of like the character supers, and we never really saw most of those characters do those supers. So we shall see, we shall see. He was taken over by vengeance, we know about that. His family was his everything, makes sense. Fishing, BBQ, and karaoke are his hobbies. Okay. Skills are pure rage. I like that. It's just called pure rage. Like nothing fancy, it's just pure rage. I feel like he's gonna be my favorite. I feel like he is going to be my #1 favorite. Power, straightforward, and 2 extra bionic arms. Somebody call Spencer. He's 35 years old, he's 6 foot even. I imagine he'd be a little bit taller. Like I would have thought he'd been a 7-footer, but whatever. And his blood type, oh. Yeah, I think I've said all I need to say about him. And Nagi, another design just right off the bat, love it. I do remember earlier that she and Pink Samurai are an item, which is actually really cool. Nagi is one of the members of Pink's nomadic group. Okay, so they're part of the same group. Nagi was born blind. Aww. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have just thought she had her eyes closed. Because when it comes to characters that are in like shrouds like that, if they're blind, and I guess maybe it's because I'm just thinking about this design so much, and maybe it was the design I was thinking of when I saw her, but I think about a character like Ceres in Paladins, because if you look at her, like you got the blindfold on, but that's not to say every character that's blind needs to have a blindfold. She was born blind and has developed a keen sense of smell and hearing, as a lot of like these characters do. When they have one sense lost, their other senses kind of get boosted in certain cases. Living in the outskirts of the cities, she and her family were robbed by a group of scavengers one day. Pricks. Scavengers tried to have their way with Nagi, and Pink saved her and her family at that very moment. Nagi and her family became a part of Pink's group, and later, the two fall in love. That was established. Big ups to Pink Samurai for that, man, because... like, she was blinded, and then you got people trying to have their way with her? Like, come on, man. Very calm and wise, which complements Pink's hothead personality, definitely. The robot Snake, I was curious about that. Robot Snake was made by Pink. Okay, so she provided her some tech. Nice. And was given to her as a gift. Aww, that's sweet. Nagi can see rough outlines of objects through the robot Snake. Ooh, big ups to Pink Samurai, yo! Which wirelessly sends data to her brain. And before I forget, another reason why I feel I may really like Nagi, as I'm learning about this and like just the whole blindness thing and seeing that she has, you know, things to compensate for it, she reminds me of another one of my favorite characters, Toph. Hates men in general. I could understand it if it's literally like, if, let me look at it again. Scavengers tried to have their way with her. I'm pretty sure it was a bunch of dudes. Pretty sure it was. Collecting aromas and riding on Pink's bike are her hobbies. Oh, she has a bike. Nice. Of course, the robot Snake is her skill. I can't wait to see what else it can do. She's 20 years old, 5'6", blood type A. Yeah, I like her too. And it's really cool learning about these characters, like already establishing that they have significant relationships, you know, whether it's, you know, of course, Nagi and Pink Samurai, MJ and Mateo, like, come on. I'm liking this already. Next up is Z plus Rho, Zero. Zero is a genius scientist and philanthropist trapped in a kid robot's body. I'm gonna read that again because I can't believe that was a sentence I just said. Zero is a genius scientist and philanthropist trapped in a kid robot's body. He was assassinated for opposing Magnus's agenda during when he was a part of Magnus's secret research team. Got a defect here, I think. Zero converted, and transferred everything in his brain to a computer, knowing his life was in danger. With the help of his followers, he was reincarnated as a bionic kid. All the stories, this one's probably the most bizarre. Not saying it's bad, just a bit bizarre. He now leads with the resistance group against Magnus. Okay, so Magnus has got to be the main antagonist, this Magnus. He has to be. That's like, I think, the second time that I've heard that someone had an issue with Magnus. They say he's very sharp, makes sense, always sees the positive side of people, always look on the bright side of life. Poised, but also knows when and how to have fun. Likes to play video games, surprise. Still a kid on the inside, fittingly, but acts like a grown man in front of others. That's commendable. And skills are techniques learned from fighting it. Techniques learned from fighting games. So I imagine, like, is he gonna be breaking out a lot of very familiar moves? Like, very familiar moves. I'm not even just talking Hadoken DP Tatsu. Like, look, That only made me laugh because I did not see that coming. What is it gonna be? Like a tribute character or something? Which, that would be pretty dope. Like, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated. His age is 0, which I can understand that given the backstory. He's 4 feet, I think the shortest character thus far. And we don't know his blood type, which also makes sense. This is an interesting character, man. He's interesting. There he is, Mochizuki, my other favorite. Please don't be an antagonist. Like, come on, man. Okay, he's an ninja. Okay, I had it right earlier because I had speculated, because Mochizuki was the person I was alluding to that I thought was a ninja. Because I really dug this look. I would honestly love to cosplay this character. And that weapon looks really cool, looks really sick. And it's so funny, given that I know it's been a hot topic recently, but I just looked right here at his elbow pad and it's like, it almost made me think he had like the X-Men symbol on him. Mochizuki, ninja boss. Okay. Mochizuki Chiyome. Oh my good golly gosh. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I kept referring to Mochizuki as he. I am so sorry about that. My apologies. A female ninja who lost her husband, Mochizuki Nobumasa, in the Battle of Nagashino. She pledges her loyalty to God in exchange of keeping her husband's soul within her. Aww. Aww, it's... Man, these backstories are actually making me like, I'm invested. I am invested, man. I am invested. That's so sweet right there, man. She recruited orphans, refugees, and slaves and trained them. She's also training, our buddy Graphy earlier. Okay. The first female ninja, way cool, takes orders from Dio and Ehrlich. Second time I've heard those two names, but they didn't pop up in this because I think Mochizuki's the last character that we can look at. Hates Ehrlich for his arrogance. Okay, so we know Ehrlich is full of himself, gotcha. Okay then. And her skills are the Kusarigama and the Kusari Jutsu. Okay. Don't know her age, she's 5'6", and we don't know her blood type. Love this design, and after hearing this backstory and learning the info that I learned now, wow. Wow. I'll just put it like this, Mochizuki is definitely gonna be a day one. Day one for me. And yeah, that basically wraps it up, much to my chagrin because I was getting really invested. I am really invested in a nice chunk of these characters. I didn't see any designs that I think are bad, dry. I like a lot of the backstories that I've heard. I like a lot of the relationships that have been established. You know, I have questions, of course, because I am wanting to know, of course, you know, who the final boss is going to be. I do think this Magnus is going to be the main antagonist, but here's to seeing if he's the final boss or not. Maybe there's like another big bad that we're going to have. But yo, great work on these characters, man. Like, I know it's been kind of a downer that this game has been pushed back, but hey, in this day and age, especially after what has happened to Mortal Kombat 1, and I hate picking on that game, I don't like to see any games just collapse when it comes to like just quality people playing it. I don't like seeing games die. I don't. I would much rather, again, much like I talk about with City of the Wolves, because man, I cannot wait to play the very first City of the Wolves demo, beta, whatever it's gonna be. At the same time, as much as I want to get my hands on that game and this one, if you don't think the product is up to snuff, take your time. Don't put a rush job out there, because when you put a rush job out there, from what I've noticed over the past couple years with these types of games, 8 to 9 times out of 10, once the rush job is pushed out there, it's hard to recover if it indeed falls on its face. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I can understand. You know, sometimes it might be frustrating to wait for so long, especially seeing how long we waited for this. You know, there's a big difference between Strive's pushback and this game's pushback. Strive didn't get pushed back a whole bunch of years. This game has. So, I get it, but at the same time, I just want it to be good. Just don't keep us too much in the dark, because I do think it is possible to pre-order it, because there are some pretty good pre-order packages for this game. I think one comes with a soundtrack, if I'm not mistaken. And the music for this, if it is what I've been hearing, which may have been a song or two from maybe a couple of trailers, it seems promising. it seems promising. Like most indie games, like most indie companies do tend to have some pretty underrated soundtracks, and I expect just as much with Blazing Strike. I know there's been like some gameplay footage out there, which in case you have ignored this game ever since the first trailer dropped, you can find some gameplay out there, and not like trailers, I mean like actual full-on round. Like obviously there's a match out there with Shinsuke versus Jake, but yeah, like it's looking pretty promising. It just seems some things might be a little rough around the edges. But yeah, all in all, when I first saw Blazing Strike, I was hyped. Going through these characters, these stories, all these things right here, I'm even more hyped. So please, 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 I'm just hoping, do not drop this project. So much promise. And for all those people that have this idea that the majority of the fighting game fandom wants this old school 2D sprite style back, well, now is the time for those people to put their money where their mouth is, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. And I usually don't like saying stuff like this, but people just annoyed me when it came to that rhetoric, when it came to games like Street Fighter 6 and KOF 15. Like, why aren't they 2D? Why don't they look like Guilty Gear Strive? All of you that claim that people love and they want this old school style back, now is the time to put your money where your mouth is. Regardless, it's got my freaking support. It's got mine. But yeah, what do you all think? Which characters appeal the most to you? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this for more content in the future. I am Chris Lotus, signing off. You all take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. Be cool to each other. Stay cool by staying hydrated in the heat this summer. See ya.